And welcome to the Dean Obeidallah Show, also known as the Dean's Report Live. And look who's here, back-to-back weeks. This is an honor and privilege. My friend Joy Reid, you know her as New York Times bestselling author, award-winning journalist. She has a Substack, which you must subscribe for, and her YouTube show, The Joy Reid Show, wildly popular, 3 days a week. I was on it last week. Joy, thanks for coming on back-to-back weeks. You were on Election Day before we knew the results. Here we are a week later. And first of all, I just want to say thanks for being back on right off the top. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
you.
It's
And
always good to be on with you. We have such a great time. This is like, it's therapy.
it is so think about this. A week ago, Democrats win. Unbelievable. We're so happy. But some Senate Democrats are like, they're just too happy. Let's bring them down by caving in and voting with the Republicans. I mean, that's the only thing I think of. Like, were we too happy? We were too joy. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like. I'm uncomfortable with the joy. So
Yeah.
we're gonna find 8 of you, 7 Democrats and Angus, to go out there and destroy the joy of it. Although I don't think they've overwhelmingly destroyed the joy. They've angered people. So what's your reaction to? Do you see something that some of us don't see, or the idea of why they would choose to side with the Republicans after the big win and get nothing in return after 41 days of causing pain?
Well, from what I understand, just my own sort of reporting on this, just from sources around this process, is that the 8 who betrayed us and our joy and happiness, this was always where they were. They never supported the strategy of refusing to give Republicans the votes to keep the government open. These are people who do not support the idea of government shutdowns, just in principle. So this was where they always wanted to be anyway. And so I think what this demonstrates is that the Democratic Party, particularly on the Senate side, they're leaderless and rudderless, because I personally believe, and I have this is not just my own opinion, this is an opinion based on talking to some folks behind the scenes. This is where Chuck Schumer also wanted to be. Let's just be clear,
Sure.
because there are really only 2 choices here. He either has no control over his caucus, which means he should resign, or he hid behind the 7 safest members on his side who are either not up for reelection anytime soon, or like Dick Durbin, are retiring. So these were the safest people who could do what he wanted to do anyway, and he hid behind them, which also means he should resign. So I think what this means is that the joyous result on last Tuesday had no impact on these people, because
Right.
all they care about is what they consider their sort of goo good government, sort of principles of bipartisan government. They don't even see Trump as an existential threat. I think these people are still living in this insane um, belief that this is just politics, and they can send a message and then take that energy into 2026 midterms. It's still the way they think.
To me, like, things were not going to change in the dynamics, Joy, because the Republicans were not feeling any pressure from their
No.
base on this, right? So what the Democrats needed to do from the
Oh no, but
beginning,
they
and
were.
Chuck
I
Schumer,
disagree with that, Dean. I'm sorry. They were feeling. Oh no, they were. If
but
Marjorie Taylor Greene is on
oh,
TV saying
right.
that people are losing their minds over affordability and the healthcare costs are going through the roof and naming her own kids, no, Republicans were feeling the pressure. Actually, Republicans were losing this issue, losing on this issue, and they knew they were losing. Trump was undermining their position by trying to take it further and saying, I want the government to shut down,
Right.
threatening people, keeping SNAP away, going and appealing to the Supreme Court to not face. No, they knew they were losing. They were losing on this. Democrats were actually winning if you look at the polling. So Republicans knew that. It's just that Republicans don't care if
Right.
their own people starve or lose their health care and die. They just actually don't care. And so since they even pressure from their suffering basement, they don't care about that. All they care about is pleasing Donald Trump and money and moneyed interests and billionaires. They actually don't care if even their own base literally die.
Right.
They don't
And I
care.
and I think no, and you took a different step than I agree with you that they don't care about their base. I shouldn't say maybe they weren't feeling pressure. They didn't care about the pressure. Like nothing was changing. The dynamic wasn't changing. If you have 2 parties negotiating and one side is not feeling any of the heat or they're impervious to the heat, like it
Yes.
means nothing to them,
No.
then you're not going to change them. So that's why Republicans stayed where they were. So this could have went 2 or 3 weeks more and it continued. But going back to Trump and Snap, and I think he's going to get a pass now because corporate media sucks. Donald Trump was starving his own people.
Yes,
Remember Saddam Hussein gassed his own people?
that's
Donald
right.
Trump was literally starving his own people
That's right.
and didn't care and sending his minions to go to court to have the Supreme Court overturn court opinions that said, which was an easy out for him to go like,
Yeah,
look, but no president has ever not funded SNAP during a shutdown, including Donald Trump in the first term. He
that's right.
funded it. This is the first guy to starve millions of 42 million, including millions of children, 5 or 6 million under five. This guy's a monster. He's a
Yeah.
soulless monster in the White House.
Yeah. And I mean, and by the way, some of the largest groups of recipients of SNAP are in Louisiana, home to the House Speaker. States like Kentucky and West Virginia, overwhelmingly red states. Numerically, the largest number of SNAP recipients are white. A lot
Yep.
of them are rural. Rural hospitals were suffering from this Medicaid denial. They just actually don't care. And you're right. Donald Trump owned he took ownership of the shutdown repeatedly on camera, and effectively said to the American people, we're going to starve you until you agree to let us jack up your healthcare costs. We will starve you until you allow us to jack up your healthcare costs, because Donald Trump hates Barack Obama and wants
Yep.
to make Obamacare disappear. He keeps saying he's going to terminate Obamacare. And he's like, in order, because he can't legitimately get the votes through in the Congress, even among his own Republicans, because they just don't have the votes. They've never had the votes. So since he can't eliminate Obamacare legislatively, he's literally saying, I will simply starve even my own supporters, make them hungry in the streets, make them line up at food. I will literally starve them until I can figure out a way to jack up healthcare costs. That was the bargain. Starve you, so you have to choose between food and healthcare. There are two leaders who are alive today in the world who have used starvation against the populations that they govern. Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump. They are the
Yep.
two politicians who have literally, and then, you have to go back to Stalin before that, who starved Ukraine to try to make them comply. So we're now seeing two politicians who use extrajudicial murder, Trump doing it in the Caribbean, killing people who are fishermen, Caribbean fishermen, and you see Bibi Netanyahu just murking people in any state nearby. He just will drop bombs on you wherever state you're in. If you're in Iran, if you're in anywhere, he feels like he can kill you. There are two leaders like that, Trump and Bibi, and they're both equally wicked.
I could not agree with you more. And I wrote a Substack article a few days ago over the weekend and linking that and going through international law, how starvation of people is a crime against humanity.
It
Now, it
is.
has to be usually in the context of a war. I get that. But the moral underpinnings to the idea of not starving people is the same if it's in a hot war or a cold war. Donald Trump is at war. He's told us he hates Democrats. He says
Yep.
we're the party of evil, we're the party of Satan. He told us at the Charlie Kirk Memorial that he doesn't wish us no bad things like Charlie Kirk. He wishes us ill. This man thinks we are at war, and like in a war, he was going to starve Americans, his own people, and us, because
Yes.
we don't exist. He dehumanizes us like a leader in war, so you can commit atrocities against your enemy, which we do in our normal wars all the time. We dehumanize the other side because you want to see them as human beings when you're dropping bombs on them. That's what he's doing to us. It is
Yeah.
deeply concerning. And Netanyahu's done it, of course, to Gaza, where he dehumanized them for years, and then from the whole 2 year war. But I'm glad you connect them because I connect them in my article the same way.
Yeah.
This is the same type
And
of.
by the way, not only is Donald Trump starving his own people, starving 42 million Americans in order to essentially bludgeon the country into letting him get rid of Obamacare, he did it while throwing not one, but two lavish parties to ostentatiously play in your face, America, and say, you get to go hungry. I'm eating, bitches. I'm eating. My friends are eating. We're having a lavish party. Look at my luxury in my carpeted bathroom with the chandelier over the toilet. He's throwing it in your face. He's saying, I am, the people are calling him the Great Fatsby. That's my newest term, the Great Fatsby. He's literally living
I like
large
that.
in Mar-a-Lago, destroying the White House, demanding that the Commanders name their stadium after him. FIFA creating a fake peace prize to give it to him because you know he's going to get it. He's out there with his private jet from the Qataris. He's literally playing in y'all faces. If the MAGA people may be too stupid to see it, we can see it because he don't like y'all neither. He's literally like, I'm rich, bitch. You're poor, and I'm going to starve you to also take your health care. I've already taken your businesses. I've already had my my tariffs destroy the economy around you. I've taken your markets. If you are a soybean farmer, your markets now go to China. F you. I'm giving Argentina your tax dollars. You can't have health care, but they get to have $40 million. He's about to do the same thing with Orban and give him $40 billion because Orban came to the White House and asked for it. He's going to get it. He's literally saying to Latinos who voted for him, I will pick up your grandma, your abuela, your kid, send them wherever I want. I can kill you, Caribbean fishermen. I'm literally the king, and F y'all, including F MAGA voters. And they're like, we love him.
And worse, the Washington Post editorial board will write something that's nice about Donald
Yeah.
Trump. Like the old Washington Post would, if there was Watergate now, this Washington Post would not have had a Woodward and Bernstein. They
Nope.
would have had two people writing articles about why eavesdropping and tapping is not that bad. Sometimes you have to do that. Like sometimes you have to break into your political
Yeah.
opponents' offices and eavesdrop. And look at this election Tuesday, undeniably about affordability, about prices going up. Everyone feels it. It's backed up by data. It's not just subjective, but the vibes are prices are higher. Trump was on Fox News last night. I'll read his comment. He's talking about Laura Ingraham, and he denies prices are rising, saying inflation, quote, is a con job by the Democrats. So MAGA, you know the prices you're paying that are higher? It's fake. There's not no price that you're paying higher. This to me is beyond political malpractice. It is a level of arrogance because for Trump's like cost and the economy is great. It is great for you, you corrupt son of a bitch. You've been stealing money from
That's
everybody.
right.
Him and his family are making a lot more money. And to tell people while they're suffering that it's a con job, you're not really paying the price. Where Laura Ingraham actually said, and I'll paraphrase, but she said, so you're saying that people are not actually feeling what they're feeling. She was trying to help him. She really
Yeah.
was like, I'm feeding you a line to understand
Yeah.
what's so wrong about your opinion. Nope. He's like, con job by the Democrats. That's the new answer. I
And the
can't
thing
believe
is,
this.
if you've done, I did a Trump book, so I had to talk to a lot of people around Trump, and I've done a lot of interviews with Trump biographers. The challenge Trump has in a moment where people are suffering is that Donald Trump does not have empathy. He actually does not. He's not capable of it. He might be a sociopath because he actually isn't capable of empathizing, even with his own children. He does. He has no love for anyone, including his own family. He does not have empathy. So when you say to him on the day after Charlie Kirk, who's supposedly his friend's murder, and you ask him, "How are you holding up after your friend Charlie Kirk's murder?" He goes, "Oh, I'm holding up great. You want to see the construction I'm doing on the White House? I'm about to make a ballroom." Right? When you tell him, Mr. President, people are really struggling and suffering. He literally said this. He said, "It's tough. Life's tough out there. Life's tough out there. It's a tough world out there. It's tough. Life is tough for a lot of people and in a lot of ways." and,
Right.
and he couldn't do it. He said, "I don't want to hear about affordability. I don't want to hear about affordability because it's down. Everything is down. Everything is down. All the prices are down. Inflation is down. It's all low. It's a lie. It's just not real." He just can't even. And then he said another thing, which I'm like, I don't know how Democrats aren't putting this in ads. He said, "I don't know why. We just want ID. Why can't we have ID? When you go to the grocery store, you have to show ID. When you go to the gas station, you have to show ID." This man has never been to a grocery store. That's why he
No.
thinks that when you go to get your groceries, when you get to the checkout lady says, "Can I see some ID before I
That's
before I
right.
get you that spam and that and then pasta? You want that pasta? You better show me some ID." Or when you go to the gas station, somebody walks out to your car and says, "Hey, I know you're pumping that gas. I'm gonna need to see
That-
some ID." That is not true. And so since he's never driven himself, he's never gone to a store. So why his base of working class people relate to him? I couldn't tell you. He has literal golden toilets and he's ostentatiously showing them to you. The best part of the videos of his Mar-a-Lago party is that the narrator es una Latina. Una Latina is walking through going, "Ay, que bella, que be-" He's literally saying, "I don't even like Hispanics. I can't
Oh,
stand them.
right.
We want to ethnically cleanse America, get all these Latins out." But the person I'm going to invite is a rich Hispanic that could come into Mar-a-Lago because she must have paid the $1 million entry fee or she's from CPAC. I'm going to show you people from your own community whose cousins I'm deporting, and she's inside Mar-a-Lago while her own people are getting tortured. So it's the whole movement is sociopathic. It is the Gilded Age. It is literally the rich MAGA and the that are all getting their faces pumped up, pumping their lips up, trying to have black people looking lips and pumping their cheeks up and looking like dollies. while y'all are hungry and starving and they don't give a damn.
And all he does is lie. Look, Trump has always lied to people, but you can lie about the election because people can't see it. You can lie about witch hunts because people can't see it. But when you go to the food store, you know the price is up.
Come on.
So he says like gas is $2 a gallon. Unless you have a time machine and a DeLorean, it's not $2 a gallon. It's $3.08 a gallon per AAA, which is literally 1 cent less than it was a year ago today. Because Fox News even showed it because I think they're getting a sense this is not going to last. This is not
No,
sustainable. It's
no,
no longer economic populism. It's
no.
Trumpism. It's just
That's
Trump.
correct.
The
Yes,
king says it, and you got to whatever. And look, he still gives them the white supremacy, right? He's going to only
of
bring in.
course.
We're low on white people, so we're going to bring them from South Africa. We're fighting the whites in South Africa because we're
Yeah,
like 2 gallons short. So bring
yeah.
them in here. Then the same thing with no brown, no black immigrants. And I guess for them, they still it makes them feel good about themselves because maybe they never expected the economy to be good for them, or they never their lives were never better, so they never expected anyone else to help them. I don't know what it is, but his base stays intact, as even
Yep.
though they're losing jobs. Unemployment is clearly up. We're going to get a jobs report now that the government reopens.
Yeah.
People are going to see it now. It is uptick, and he'll lie. He'll say economy's great. It's all a lie. I'm going to fire everyone. I don't know how you navigate that, but I want to say, Joe, one thing though, going back to healthcare, is this a time for Democrats to lean into Medicare for all? Like, stop talking about the subsidies. They're now saying we'll give the money right to the people. We all agree this system is not working, all right? Medicare for all you have to do is bring down the age of eligibility. It's 65 now. You
Hmm.
can test it, bring it down to 55, and give it a year, and let's see, and if it works, you bring it down to 50. We already have a program that works. People like Medicare. We don't have to create a new one. Just by Congress, by act of Congress, bring down the eligibility age.
I literally now feel like I went in a DeLorean because this is exactly what Democrats were saying when Obamacare was being debated. And
Right.
Joe Lieberman said, no, you can't do that. We literally had this exact conversation during the fight over Obamacare, and the superior bill that originally passed the House had a public option
Right.
that was
Right.
a Medicare for all style private, a publicly owned nonprofit that would compete with the big insurance companies. Because the reason insurance is so expensive is it is a monopoly of a small number of insurance companies that stand between you and your health care, and they get to charge whatever they want because they are negotiating the prices of your surgery or of your colonoscopy or what they and since they have a lock on that, and if you try to go around them and go by yourself, you're going to get charged much more. But Democrats like Joe Lieberman, who is just like these eight, these are these neoliberal that people that I cannot be convinced don't want the exact same outcomes as Republicans.
Mhm.
They are Democrats in name, but you're gonna have to convince me, Tim Kaine, that you want Gene Shaheen, that you want a different outcome at the end of the because you sure are a handmaiden to get in the same outcome that right wingers want. Because I think they all sort of regular Republicans and regular Democrats kind of exist in this orbit. Forget the MAGAs and the progressives that all kind of want the same thing, which is they believe in fundamentally in capitalism. And so they believe that the capitalists must know what's best for us. Rich people must know what's best for us. They must have gotten rich somehow. So they must know what's best. So if we cater to them and give them what they want, and look, a lot of these seven Democrats and one independent from Vermont, they getting money from the same people that Republicans. They've got all these donors, and they got I have to please them. I need to make sure. So they all believe that the system just needs tinker, 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 and it'll be fine. A lot of us are like, no, the system is completely broken. The healthcare system, we're the only country on earth that is a Western civilized nation where people can go bankrupt because they get cancer. So on top of getting sick, you end up and I always am one of those people who don't say there's not a dime worth the difference between the parties. But on this shit, there is. Neoliberals and Republicans are really no different from each other. MAGAs are fascists, and then there's progressives. So you got four things. You got fascists, Republicans and Democrats who are kind of the same, and progressives. You got four choices. And for me, the other three are useless to us in this moment because
Mhm.
America is a country founded on economic opportunity. And if you, last thing I'll say is one of the big people think that these Latinos, that when I will vote for Donald Trump, you think it was because of him. That is not Hispanics' main issue. Their most important issue is the economy. If you poll them, people love Trump because they thought they were getting money from him. The blacks who are voting for Trump, a lot of them are like, I made money under Trump. I've talked to these people.
Sure.
It's all about money. But here's the thing: when your money starts getting funny, that racism gets more expensive for you. Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
You one of them, people who family go back to the founding, but you still broke, and you had a 400-year head start on blacks, but blacks are still doing better than you, and so you're pissed off and racist. First of all, that's a you problem. You had a 400-year head start, Papi Chulo. You white. I don't know why you broke. You should be. This country was built for you,
Right.
so I don't know why you broke. But okay, you can be mad at me, whatever. But those people, it gets a lot pricier to be like that
That's
when
interesting. A
you have
racism
no
tax.
money.
If
So now,
they're paying a racism tax or a white supremacist
yes,
tax, and how much are they willing to pay to
yes,
keep without complaining about it? Going, we have this, but look at this election last Tuesday in Jersey, Hudson County, Passaic County, big Latino population. They had trended to Trump, flipped hugely to Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat.
that's
Abigail
right.
Spanberger, same thing in Virginia. In New York, Zoran Mondani won black voters by 15%. He won Latinos by about 7 or 8%. And he won white, depending on which exit poll. He won white people by 1 point in one exit poll. But here's a remarkable thing: people 44 and under, he won by 70%.
Yeah, there you go.
No one does that.
Because it's affordability. And
70%.
can I go back to Virginia for just one moment? Because
Sure.
the Virginia race was interesting because Winsome Earl Sears, so, my daughter's name is Winsome, so it really
Yep.
hurts my spirit that her name is Winsome. It's killing me that that's her name. But anyway, she did the exact strategy Trump did in order to win in 2024. She ran endless trans ad after trans ad. Her whole
Ah,
campaign was basically trans kids, trans women playing sports, trans girls playing. It was the same trans. Trans kids in sports is a lot more effective when you're eating, when your mortgage is paid, when you're kind of flush with that Biden bucks. Biden was throwing money and he was spreading it in them red states. They were claiming the economy was bad, but the Biden economy was actually pretty good. So when the economy is pretty stable and you're doing okay, you have the luxury to give a shit about who's playing sports on a team
right.
you'll never see, in a town you'll never visit, in a state you've never been to. You have time to sit back and worry about whether a trans child is getting gender affirming care. When you broke and you struggling and you can't pay your mortgage and your rent, you really don't have time to sit here and think about some kid you'll never meet playing a sport you don't even understand, soccer. You know what I mean? You don't
I
even swim, and you're worried about who's swimming against a kid that you don't even know. You don't have time. This becomes so it didn't work. She threw everything she could at the culture war issues, and people said, "I'm broke. I'll take spam burger."
that no, the culture war loses to the war on hunger. Like when you're hungry and
Yes.
your family got to eat, you don't
Listen.
care about the culture war issues.
Nope.
It is a luxury item, a culture war issue. When
It
you're
is.
fighting the war on bankruptcy
That's
and
it.
not having our car repossession, just so people know, statistically, the repossession rate of cars right now is the highest since the Great Recession.
Yes.
There is something right beneath the surface in our economy. They
Yes.
call it a K economy. Even Jerome Powell calls it, where the letter K, the one part's going up, and they're doing great. The upper
Yes.
middle class and the rich, and the rest are
Are
sliding.
sliding. Yeah, the
And that's
number of
happening right now.
people, the number of people surrendering pets has reached. That's
Oh,
how you
that's so
know
sad.
the
Yeah.
pet surrender rate is skyrocketing. People can't afford the animals, the pets, and their
Um,
beloved pets. They're surrendering. We are in an economic. We are close to. If we're not in a recession right now, we're very close to it. And so Americans are really assessing. And again, Trump has a core that is a cult. But he also, I think, has a larger share of his voters who were strictly money voters. They were like, Trump equals money. And that's what kept them with Trump. The cultural Trumpers, the MAGA people who are in the religious movement, because I think MAGAism is a religion, those people are just steeped in white Christian nationalism, and you can't do anything about those people. There's nothing we'll ever be able to. They're 30% of the voting population. There's nothing you can do with those people. Trump could burn their houses to the ground. They don't give a damn because they just care about brown people, black people, Muslims, Asian people suffering, and that's it. And women
I,
suffer. They don't give a shit about anything else. But the rest of his voters, they're walking away and they're looking for a new team to get on that will help them afford their lives. And Mamdani is his secret is he's laser focused. I don't care what you ask him.
right,
He's right back to affordability and he's focused in a way that Trump, when he was disciplined during his campaign, was also focused. When Trump was telling you, I'm gonna bring the price of groceries down, a lot of people were like, that's all I need to hear. You had me at prices down, and
right.
they weren't hearing the rest. Now he can't even express empathy for the people he's failed. He's not even saying he wants to fulfill his promises. All he wants is a ballroom, stadiums named after him, the Arc de Trump, to party with his rich friends, and for billionaires to kiss his ass. He doesn't care about anybody who voted for him, and neither does his party.
He didn't even care about a guy who collapsed 2 feet away from him
Nope,
in the Oval Office.
sure didn't.
That picture is going to be a defining picture going forward of Donald Trump standing there like this and everyone trying to help a guy next to him on the ground. And the anti-Muslim bigotry, like you've got Tommy Dumbville, Stupidville, I call him, the senator
Idiot.
saying that Zoran Mondami, he goes, everything's free, everything's gonna be free in New York. And then he goes, in 3 to 4 years, everyone's going to be Muslim. So apparently Zoran's plan to get everyone to convert is affordability because people are like, I don't like Muslims, but my rent's frozen, so Allah Akbar, everybody. Like this is the
Is this
extent
a
of
bad time
dumb.
for me to start selling Qurans? And
This
I
is
got to
it.
get in business. If everybody gonna be Muslim, this is gonna be a huge market. You know what I mean? Can I say, well, wait, how can I get down with this? Like, what are we gonna do? This might be the new economy. Is get everybody down in and get involved in it. Look, I can get involved. Like, I like
Free,
Muslims.
this
I
is
can be part of it.
we don't have to
I'll
go
sell
door to door.
halal. How do you cook it? Tell me.
Everything's free, folks, and then everyone gets forced out. Last thing I want to touch on, because so it's something we've talked about in the past, but so yesterday Donald Trump shared a clip from my radio show on the White House account, and he doesn't know me, and I was they actually moved me out of it. It was Ilhan Omar. Now she's on once a month or so. She's my sister, Congresswoman Omar's Muslim, I'm Muslim, so she was on there being like funny, like they say they want to deport me and denationalize me. I'm not afraid of being deported. Good luck with that, all that. So Trump shares her saying that on my show with the image of him waving when he was working at McDonald's, saying bye bye. But and of course the base loves it. But why does the base love going after black women, which seems to me their number one target over and over as they come back? It was to you, Maxine Waters. It goes to this Ilhan Omar, send her back. They love that with Ilhan Omar. What is it about black women that so triggers the MAGA bigots?
And it's interesting because speaking about the White House doing that, they have this My Safe Space like fake site on the website we pay for with our tax dollars. It's got this thing about My Safe Space things that I like to watch. They have the Joy Reid show, which I'm like, thanks for the promo, right? So I'm like, they're obsessed. If Jasmine Crockett, somebody put in this in the chat there. Yeah, I think the reason that black women particularly trigger MAGA is that we are the most recalcitrant when it comes to conservatism. We simply will not go with it. We vote 92, 93, 94, 96% for progressive policy because we combine the knowledge of what it means to be a minority, a person of color, and the oppression that has come with that full time, with also the knowledge of what it's like to also be a woman who sometimes has to also deal with misogyny even in our own world. So it's like we are combining the two things they hate the most, which is a person of color who actually is self aware, proud of themselves, and confident, plus a woman, which is the thing that they actually really do fear, is that white women will become more like us. They live in fear that white women will finally join every other woman, brown women, Asian women, Latinas, who all vote with us, black women. The last holdout is white women. And college educated white women they've already come our way
Yes.
in like the last three recent elections. Their biggest fear is that if non-college white women finally join their college educated sisters, because again, we now have over 50% of college educated white women go through the crosstabs on these last Tuesday's
Yep.
elections. This is now the third or maybe the fourth election in which white college educated women voted. It wasn't big, it was in the 50s. It wasn't in the 90s like us black women, but they were over 50. When the white women without the degree start coming with us, Republicans can't win elections anymore. And so what they fear is black women's strident, determined, unflinching opposition to them. We will fight white supremacy till the last dog dies. We'll take our brothers with us, and we are always recruiting. We want the whites. We want the spice. Yeah, I call them the spicy whites. Come on, spicy whites. We come
Spicy.
with us if you want to live. We want the Asian Americans. We want the indigenous people. We want the Muslims. We want the Christians. We want the non-aligned. We want the gays. We want the trans. Don't worry, trans people. Come on. We'll take everybody. So we're recruiting all the time, we black women, and we vote. We are the highest
Yes.
percentage voting population in America, and we will never take Candace Owens. We already gave it to you. You can keep it. We are never going to vote for fascism,
That
ever.
and it's interesting. statistically, I wasn't aware until about 7, 8 years ago of how important black women were in the Democratic coalition. It was Alina Maxwell who told me, and I go, "What are you talking about?" She sent me an article. I'm like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're right." So it's very interesting. That's why you hear them on the right talk about the idea of exploring taking away a guaranteed right to vote for women.
Yeah.
They had no problem
Correct.
with that. That the men, I mean, I'm not trying to be religious here, but in the New Testament it says a woman should learn in silence and not teach a man anything. And some of them believe that literally. So that's your justification to take voting away from women. But before I let you go, Joy, where can people check out your YouTube show and Substack?
Yes, you can check me out on Substack at joyandreid.com. That is my Substack. I got a piece up right now about all of the mess in the election. And by the way, our friend Nitha Khan wrote our piece that responded to the Zoran Mamdani victory because I wanted a Muslim voice, not my
Great.
voice, to be the first one. So you should really go on. It's called The Meaning of Mamdani's. And Nitha's a great writer. I've worked with her for years on that. And she's a producer on the show. And if you want to support my podcast and Jason and our company's little podcast, it's called The Joy Reid Show. And it's easy to find. It's at thejoyreidshow.com.
Well, Joy, thanks so much. It's great seeing you 2 weeks in a row. Thanks
Yes,
for everyone who joined us. Say hello to Jason, your
I
husband, for me.
will.
I look forward to, inshallah, God willing, I'll
And
talk to you soon, my friend. Have a great day.
amen.
Take care,
Inshallah. We love
everybody.
it. Look, when don't worry, when you guys take over with the what is it, Sharia law, you
Sharia
know I'm
law.
down for it. So I'm good. Just
Well,
give me the instructions and serve me some halal because I do
it's
love it.
going to be great. Everyone's going to love it. Believe me, it'll work out well. All right, there's no
Okay.
Sharia. All right, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.